Dang, that one went live fast. Hello, hello, this one. There we go. Now both are live. I hate when it does that. I hit go live at the same time, but it takes one longer to go live than the other. So let's go ahead, get this all shared out. One longer to go live than the other. So how are you guys doing? We are going to talk a little bit about my experience at Printing United, why you should, entertain the thought of and like really should consider and plan to attend other expos that's in the printing space or graphic space and things of that nature. So yeah, those are the things that we are going to discuss in this live broadcast. I'm going to share this in a couple different places and I hope that, I don't know if they will allow, some place, I don't even know if I want to even attempt it to share it to certain groups. Hopefully, they allow maybe others. I think if I share it myself, they'll feel some type of way. Hopefully, others are able to share this video or this live. Okay, so there we go. We are all shared out. There we go. All right, so hello, hello, hello. Incredible greetings, everyone. I am Shakeya, the professor of HS Inc. 365. We are the home of the Honestly Speaking brand of products. We carry sublimation paper, would say ink, but we're out of that and we're pretty much phasing out. So we have cyan, yellow, and gray right now. That's it. And then once that's gone, it is gone forever. We don't have plans to bring that back, but there is paper on the website, so you can go check that out. Our sublimation paper allows you to sublimate as low as 365 degrees, as fast as 30 seconds. It doesn't matter which heat press you have. Gone are the days of having to use 400 degrees, 60 seconds, and you don't need a butcher paper for most applications. So definitely check that out on our website, shop.hsync365.com. We're also the home of Silaholics Anonymous, and that is the business that I started 10, 11 years ago in an effort to help others learn how to use Silhouette Studio and the Silhouette family of machines, but we mainly focus on Silhouette Studio. I know there are so many other design options, but there are so many things that you can do in Silhouette Studio, and those other design options can come together to make it a better experience, whether you have a machine or not. You do not need a machine. It is absolutely free to use Silhouette Studio. If you just need a program to print from, once you create designs in things like Canva or AI creations, and now it needs to be sized and set up for a specific size paper, you can do that with Silhouette Studios. You just have to go to their website, silhouetteamerica.com, and download the software. It is a computer software. There is no mobile version. Well, there's like a web version, but not like a mobile like type app. So you do have to have a Windows PC system or a Mac operating system in order to use Silhouette Studio. Okay, but it is free to use. All right. So we've been teaching that for 10 years now. It is my program of choice. Now I am an Adobe girl, so I love me some Photoshop. I like Illustrator for certain things. But most things that I do, even if I'm designing and setting things up for embroidery files to be digitized, laser cut files, sublimation, DTF, screen print transfers, printed, the things that I send to my EcoSolvent printer, these things are all set up in Silhouette Studio for the most part. I at least plan out my design, even if I have to use a different program to like really finalize it and add all those little special touches. The initial, mapping out of the design definitely happens in Silhouette Studio. So definitely check out our YouTube channel. There's tons and tons and tons of videos there. The older videos, they're just as valuable as the new ones. I promise you that, if not more valuable. Or you can always join any of our classes that break down Silhouette Studio for you. Last but not least, we are the home of 365 Creative Academy. That is where we help you to unlock your creativity in a wide variety of class and training outside of just Silhouette. So we have things for Canva. We have specific design class, like if it was memorial or party decor and favors, how to make your own SVGs, how to create your own templates, designing techniques in general. We have business classes. We have our creative design lounge, which we have a live session tomorrow, October 28th. So if you are looking to elevate your design skills and just understand how to make effective designs, that is what we're going to go over tomorrow. So you can enroll in the creative design lounge. The link for that will be in the description of this video. All right. And then we also have, like I said, our creative business. We have a live session for that via Zoom on Thursday, where we'll be discussing things to help elevate your business. I'm starting to focus on micro systems and helping you guys with easy to use, easy to set up. Once you kind of put your mind to it, micro systems that won't cost you a whole lot. It'll get you to the next level. Now, there are some major systems that can automate your life, automate your business, but those take a lot of time, resources, and even money. But you can start with micro systems that you can handle and won't overwhelm you. And once you manage those and you have those, you have a good grasp on those, then you can elevate and move on to more robust systems. I said all that to kind of get everything going, because what we're going to discuss is Printing United and my experience with Printing United, because I attended that expo this past week. It was from Wednesday till Friday in Orlando, Florida. The next one would be in Vegas. It's September of next year. Printing United is not like some of the others that have multiple sessions throughout the year. Because of the size of this particular expo, it happens once a year. It will be in Vegas next year, which means most likely 2027, it will be in Atlanta, and then it'll probably come back to Florida in 2028. I've gone quite a few times when it's come to Orlando, Florida. But what Printing United is, I like to call it a creative expo, because there's so many things that goes down at these expos. It was more so like for the print industry, like at large. Your solvents, eco-solvent, latex printers. This is where, like, going to one of these expos is where I was really introduced to the fact that there's life beyond. Oh, y'all can't see it because it's blurred out. Life beyond the small printers that we are used to using. When you get to see these really large, massive, I mean massive printers that are used for signage and banners and wall graphics, how they're printing out actual wallpaper. Then, of course, there was, sublimation and things of that nature, UV printing, flatbed. And now, within like the last couple of years, we all know that DTF, whether it is DTF for apparel or UV DTF for hard substrates, that has become very prominent. And I felt like every row had, a DTF printer of some sort. It's kind of like they say, you can throw a rock and hit like a vendor that was talking about DTF. They were everywhere, whereas before, like, you didn't have as many. Also at these expos, you've come across companies that have resources and systems for you, things to make your life a whole lot easier. One of the biggest takeaways, I think, for me and my audience is, I wish more people could go and really see what it takes to produce the things that we make, but at a more efficient scale, a higher volume scale, and it'll probably put things into perspective for you for the things that you do and where you fit into the market, because there's a lot of equipment there. When we're talking tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of equipment, well into seven figures for some of these pieces of equipment. And I often see in groups where someone's like, well, how can they charge this amount and da 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 da, or like feeling like, how can you compete with the larger print companies because the higher the number they're offering, it's a significant discount. Because y'all know me. Well, if you don't know, I have had several teachings where I stand 10 toes down on the fact that I do not believe in. I don't stand behind. I don't push it. I do not advocate for smaller businesses attempting to do these super large jobs and what you guys consider to be bulk, and it's only a few, and you're giving out these crazy discounts when you are in fact doing more work. If you don't have a system that's going to make your life 1,000 times easier and speed that process up to where you can offer a discount the more that they use, because it takes a lot to get these pieces of equipment going. They're kind of the opposite, where when you talk to those in print, and you talk to those who are selling them, like the salesperson for the equipment, it's like reversed. When they have to run, or if someone comes to them and they want a small run of something, they're going to charge you more because the setup of it, turning it on, like the supplies and things like of that nature, it's not really utilizing their equipment to the best of their ability if it's a small run. So most will charge you more for less, and the higher you get it, I mean significantly more. And then you reach a certain level that's like their midline, and of course you start to drop as the number of units you're ordering gets higher and higher. You'll see a decrease, because at some point it's like literally nothing. It doesn't cost them very much to produce those items, or like after the first couple 100,000, it's like it's paid for itself. So anything after that is going to be extra, is going to be icing on the cake. Whereas with us, it's a little bit different. We can run smaller runs, but when it comes to larger production, it takes up so much time. And like I said, I do not believe in giving out these stiff discounts, especially when y'all talking about, oh, they ordered 10, they ordered 25. Like, that's just not going to happen, Captain. But I think when you go to these events and you see, and it puts it into perspective, where they're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on equipment and charging way less, where we're spending a couple $100s on equipment and we're charging more. You get to see how things are set up. I'll say, like, let's say business cards, right? Or just anything that's like a heavy type card stock. We know that traditional desktop printers, you're not going to be able to fit really thick card stock in those printers. Truth be told, a lot of the large format printers, you can't do that either. And when they need to print on things that are really thick, they're using a flatbed printer that could literally take up, I know for me, one of those flatbed printers would probably take up my entire office, and I barely have room to move around. Like, nothing else would be able to fit in here, because this is a thicker material. You can't just feed it through. There are rollers, unless it's like there was one that's humongous and it goes in and out and like it just does all of these different things. Those can probably handle, like, you printing directly to it. But a lot of those heavier pieces of material, they're done on a flatbed printer. And for the things that are done with thinner media, there's bonding machines to where it's going to print the two different sides on two separate sheets. And then you're going to put them on a machine. The bottom one's going to be at the bottom. You're going to have another like thing at the top. and they will feed through this machine that's going to add adhesive to both. And then it's going to take it through a heater and something that's basically like a roll press to smush them together, and it's going to bond that way. And that is where you get the thicker paper from. And their printing is two separate sheets. But when you don't go to events like this and you don't see the equipment that does that, you have this false sense of, I can print this, I can do this and produce the same thing for my customers just by getting an 80-pound or 110-pound pack of like cardstock or photo paper or whatever. But that's really not how it's made. Like, you're going and you'll see, okay, well, I can make my own business cards. I can do business cards, thinking that it's just 100-pound paper. And it's not. Being able to see different paper vendors and the different weights and the different finishes on them. Even if you're not able to purchase one of these like machines, just knowing what is possible, knowing like if you see like a piece of equipment that works really, really, really well, and you, especially if you've had a bad experience with someone saying, oh, I can do this, but the piece of equipment that they were using didn't give you that quality, but you're now, and like I said, once that happens, you'll start to think, oh, this is not possible. So if this company, I outsourced it, they say that they're a professional, and they go and they cut it and it's horrible, you'll start to think, okay, well, maybe this just isn't possible. And it's not that. They just haven't upgraded to, or I say upgrade, or just purchase the equipment that is needed to complete the job to the standards that you were expecting. But when you go to these expos and you see the machines and you're like, this is what I wanted it to do, that lets you know that it is 1000% possible. You now just have to do the work of finding a company that has that type of equipment. This is where asking questions, when you're calling places and trying to figure out if they can service you, don't just go off of them saying, oh, yes, 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 I can do that. It is okay to ask questions, asking about the type of equipment. When you're going to these expos and you know names, you can, because some people may not want to give you, like, because they'll think how y'all are when someone comes and asks you, well, what printer are you using? What's this? What's that? Where people think, oh, you're just trying to get my information so that you can go and do it yourself. But I am one where I ask questions about what equipment someone has, because I know what equipment it takes to get the results that I want. And if your company does not offer that, that's not the system that you're using, then I'm not going to go with you, because you're not using the proper equipment for what I want and the results that I want. But where I think it differs for me is I'm normally able to ask about a specific printer or a specific piece of equipment. Even if it's not the one that they are using, the fact that I know the terminology and the type of equipment, I can ask about blades, they're going to be able to say, okay, we don't have that particular model, but we do have one that is comparable to that. It does X, Y, and Z. Like, you'll be able to ask questions about like how it cuts and the type of blades, even if you're not asking like the machine, because you want to make sure that it's going to give you the right, that you're going to have the right results. So that's where these expos come into play, because you're not going directly to someone that the major companies, let's say like Canon or Epson or Mamaki or X Tools, or all these companies were there. You're not going to the companies that they sold the equipment to. You're going directly to the source. So they can answer a lot of these questions for you without judgment or without feeling like you're trying to take from them, because it's like, hello, we sold the printer. You're not going to be able to sell a flatbed printer. So they will answer questions. Like, that was my whole thing when I first went to it. I'm a very inquisitive person. So when I was on that floor, not this year, like one of the other times I went before, it's like me asking questions, very, very technical questions, because I wanted to have a better understanding. Did I have any intentions of purchasing any of these things? Absolutely not. Did not know where they were going to go, but it was just knowing what was out there and how they are used, and knowing what's used for what thing or whatever. so that, like I said, that's one of the top things. Like going to one of these expos will, how it will benefit you is it will put things into perspective where you feel like overwhelmed and trying to figure out, well, how do these companies do it? Like I'm struggling over here. You'll start to see that it's more than one machine. Even for, I know one of the things that's, I'm in one of the groups and it's like really popular, like an obituary or like some sort of, oh look, I just realized this. This was somebody that sent me this to attend. Oh, y'all can't see it. To attend Printing United. And saying to stop by their booth. I did not even realize that I got this. Let's see. What is this? 3-sided trimmer. Workflow automation. This is a binding machine and perfect bind with gauze feeder. This is a saddle stitch, and this one is, I have no idea what. Oh, this was a roll to booklet. No, but basically, I'm going to show you. This was actually, this worked out pretty good actually. It was just sitting on my desk. I didn't realize that was there. Oh, come on. Okay, hold on. I'm going to have to, let me see. Yeah, I'm going to have to take, I didn't realize this thing was on. Let me take this off. And hello, I mean, wait a minute. I don't see any hellos. How you doing? So y'all just jumped in, you're listening. You can go ahead, drop a comment and say hello. Let me know who is watching. Your comments when you first come on, they help the broadcast. If you guys come on and you don't speak, because that's the only way they know. Like a view is one thing, but when you engage, it helps me. If you like the professor, you like the information that I bring forth, I need your help. I need you to go and actually comment when you come on so that it pushes it out to more people. Okay. Let me try. I don't even know how this got on, y'all. So I don't even know how to take it off. Okay. Group layout. Okay. Visual effects. Oh, okay. Don't even know how this blur got on. So let's go over here. Visual effects and none. Okay. There we go. It's like, what in the world? Okay, so like this, where it will trim it. Then this was like a binding machine. And then there is, like, if you see this one, like that whole setup and that part right there, those are trays where, you know, you have a bunch of different prints and it might be like the top page, the second, third page, like, so it gets printed on a different system. And then each set of prints might be loaded into those bays. It's going to pull them out, like one from each one, and then take it through this system and do all the finishings on it. Like these are some really large footprint systems, but this is what makes it easier for them to produce the items and charge, basically, for lack of better terms, for you guys to understand, wholesale rates or bulk rates. Okay. Things like this, you would think that this is printed on like edge to edge. And I see a lot of it in groups where you guys are, you know, hey, how can I print borderless? And, you know, I have white edges. When you go to these events, you find out that most of these things are printed not edge to edge. It's printed on a sheet where there is extra paper around, like, you know, there's white area, and they're going to use machines to cut it down to where it looks edge to edge. That's another, like, that would have been like another major takeaway from someone who is just a crafter, who's getting into it on more of a business and semi-commercial like stage, seeing that you're stressing yourself out trying to get something to print edge to edge when that's not the industry standard. The industry standard is there's some space around it. You're going to have a bleed, and then you're going to put it through some sort of machine that's going to cut this down, whether it's automatic. And you can, like, there's machines where you can tell it, like, I need this cut here. I need this perforated. I need it split, cut it into threes. Like, it's crazy. Like they'll have like 3 cutting units. You have a perforated unit. So you'll have like the first unit in that machine. It might split them in threes. And then when it gets to the next section, it might do the cuts that's go this way, then like preparation. So that is completely automated. But then you have ones like manual cutters, where the machine will go down, but you still have to push a button in order to tell it to go ahead and cut. You have to rotate that, and then it'll cut the next side, and then you'll have to rotate it again, and it'll automatically like move. Once you set it, it'll move to that setting, and you put it in there, and it's going to cut it again. Something that I think would benefit a lot of crafters is knowing that, like, if you were to make something like this, right? This is something that people have asked me about. This is like the little passport thingamajiggy, right? So, you would print, you're going to put them together, and you're going to staple it. Whenever you're folding like this, it is naturally going to have like this trick, like it feathers out. And how you get this nice squared off and everything matches up is after it's printed, after it's after it's folded, after it's stapled, is when you will go ahead and trim these edges away, and then also round the corners. We have die machines, and most people think, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to design it. I'll put it on my Cameo, my Cricut, my Caesar, or whatever. I'm going to do a print and cut where it's going to go and it's going to do all of these cut for me. I'll put them together. Well, you're still going to get, where it's not lined up. Going to expos like this, and you start to see that's how they do it. Where you're stressing yourself out. What am I doing wrong? You're going in groups, asking people who don't know any better as well. They're giving you weird suggestions. That's not going to help. You try that. It doesn't work. You become frustrated. And you start to feel like, okay, well, that means that this can't be done. No, they're just trying to do it. Their mindset is on crafter versus high volume and production, and knowing what the industry standard is for something like this when you go and print it, and how do you get everything to line up? Because I'm pretty sure some of you guys have tried it, and it, y'all know how that looks. So going to events like this allows you to see how these things are made, how things like the rounded corners. Yes, we have, guillotine cutters. Like I have quite a few trimmers. I've had rotary trimmers. This right here is one of my old faithfuls. I have one that's a little bit, this is still kind of a craft one. This was a Fisker one. I have one that's a little bit more industrial. And then I have the big boy down there, which it still aggravates me. Then, of course, cameos are considered to be cutters as well. When you think about these types of cutters, most people, they feel like the next step up would be like a graph tech. Like that's the name that most crafters know. And it's like, oh, well, I want to be able to get like a graph tech, a 24-inch, a 36-inch cutter. But then you go and you're watching them do real die plate, like die plate cutting, or real die cutting where it can really cut through thick material, because the downward force is way different than this. It being set up where you don't have all these issues with registration and things of that nature. Like this is, to see what this is a product of, like it's like the baby sister, baby cousin of, when you go and you see these massive machines that will do die cutting for you, or die plates, and it can cut through like a bunch of layers at one time versus doing them one by one. It changes your perspective and can put things into perspective for you, for who are you servicing. That it's okay for me to keep this real small. You're not going to be able to compete with these larger companies when someone wants a really large order. And it might help you realize the thing that I've always tell you: outsource, outsource, outsource. If you got a really, really large order that if you try to do it with your printers, with your cutters, with your resources, with your manpower, it will take you days and days and days, like day in, day out, on top of your regular job. As soon as you leave your regular, your salaried or, hourly wage job, you're going to come home, you're going to work on this for hours and hours, hours, go to bed, go to work, rinse and repeat until you finally finish this massive order with your one or two printers, your one or two cutters. But then you can outsource to someone that takes minutes to have it done. I want to show y'all something. Okay, wait, I gotta find it because it's a part of a video, but I have to find it and then make it stop right in that section. So I want to say it's this video because this was us going down. Okay. All right, perfect. Here it is right here. I want to get to this point and I'm gonna pause it. Okay. Can y'all see that roll? Like, and imagine they've already been running this and there's still some like, closer to the core, right? So let me know. Y'all can see that looks massive, right? How long do you think it would take to print a roll that thick? And you can kind of somewhat see the prints and stuff that's on it. So it's a good amount of ink and printing and things like that. How long do you think it would take to print out that large roll? And it's not anything that is laser, toner, or whatever. It is actually printed on some sort of inkjet printer. How long would that take? Anybody. Just put any guess. There's no right or wrong, but just for you seeing a roll that massive, because man, how long do you think that would take? An hour, two, okay, a while. I don't want to see a while. What's a while? Put a number to it. 1 hour, 2 hours, minutes, seconds. I need a number. A while doesn't really quantify that for me. But thank you for responding though. How long do you think that would take? 2 days. Oh, so I didn't even think about days. So 2 days to be able to print that. Anyone else? So if you didn't see it, this right here, now it feeds into a machine that cuts, like that splits it up and folds it. But this is the print. And it's like you see, they're not feeding, when you have a massive order, they're not printing on individual cut sheets. It's on a roll, and then the machine will cut that down, right? So that roll right there would take about how long? How long do you think that would take? So we see 2 days. I see maybe an hour. Anybody else care to guess? Quite a few of you guys watching. Nobody else wants to take a stab at it. I guess that's the wrong word. Hopefully they don't ding me for saying it like that. Not talking about like with the knife with someone. Got to tell the algorithm that sometimes. Oh, okay, wait. I see comments here. I don't see it there. Hold on 1 second. I always forget that I have to come over here because if not, I will miss all of my comments. Hold on. Oh, wait a minute. Why is my audio jacked up? Hold on. Hold up. Wait a minute. Okay, no, it's on the right one. It just to me it sounds very, very distant. Okay. All right. So super hey Octavius, how art thou? Incredible morning. Hello. I love Solar Studio. You taught me a lot. Thank you. You're very welcome. Definitely like Solar Studio. Good morning. I miss all of these, so my bad, y'all. So it took 20 minutes to print two of those. 20 minutes and mind you, that's not the full roll, because they had been using this throughout the conference and just printing ish. The amount of waste. I was recording stuff just to show you guys the amount of waste that was there, because I mean, these machines were just going and printing for basically 3 days straight. Okay. And I mean, on large pieces of material, not just paper, like coroplast and foam board and PVC. Like, it's just printing like crazy. Okay. Printing like crazy all 3 days. I don't know why this sounds crazy. Let me see if I change it that way. But yes, it took 20 minutes because of so even if it was just that one roll, it would have still taken 20 minutes. But because of the width of it, they're able to put 2 of the large rolls on there, and it rolls it from one large set of paper. And then once it prints, it's going to core onto another one. And then they take that and load that into the machine. So 20 minutes to print 2 of those super, super, super large rolls. That is crazy. On a standard one, you would never be able to do that. So if someone needed something that was 200, 300, 1,000, as much as we were like, oh, well, I want to be able to do big orders, you just can't unless you are going to outsource it, and you know where to go. You know what to look for, what to ask for when you're going to these companies, and you know the proper person to outsource. Don't get me wrong. I love small businesses. Okay. But for certain things, for some things, one small business can't service the other. And by small business, I mean in the type of equipment that they're using. They're using smaller equipment. They may have more machines than you, or even if they may have like one large machine, they won't be able to truly service you. Because small for government purposes is like, a small business is kind of based off of revenue sometimes, but also the number of employees and workers that a company, has, that will quantify or basically classified as a small business. But when you are working, like you have something like that and you need a lot done, you need to work with a company that truly has commercial grade equipment. And I mean, industry commercial grade equipment. Some people will say they have commercial grade because they have a very large heat press. But then when you go and you're looking at the fact that there are roll to roll, most of you guys have probably never seen a heat press that was not something that you pull down, whether it's a clamshell, if it is a swing away, you still have to bring something down to apply pressure. There are heat presses, more so for sublimation, that's a roll. And the fabric and the sheet are fed through this large heated roller, and it's just automatic. The only manual thing is somebody going in and putting down the printed sheet, but it rolls. I mean, if they're doing sheet by sheet, but there are some companies where they print it roll to roll. And it goes from one big roll. It's a ketchup reel. It'll roll onto that. You take that roll, put it, where it needs to go, like in line with the system. And you don't have to do anything other than load that. And it's going to pull the fabric and the paper together. And it's just going to go. And it's going to go through this really large press. And it's going to sublimate that image onto that fabric. And then that fabric goes onto a roll. The paper is on a different ketchup reel that's going to kind of, catch it. The fabric is going to be on a different one. They're going to take that, put that somewhere else, and either stack it and hand cut it, or they're going to have a flatbed laser cutter that's going to go and cut that fabric to do cut and sew. Like, there's so many intricacies to the things that we see. And I know as crafters, we want to DIM everything. We feel like whatever they can do, we can do it better. Like, we can DIM it. I can do it myself. That's something that I'll be able to replicate and do. Y'all know them all over shirts. Yes, it is it's an option, right? You're able to take a pre-made shirt and, put a design on it, whether you are tiling it or doing it as one big print and one big press. But that is still kind of a hack, right? That's not, if you go into any store, they will never go and like just press it directly to a pre-made shirt. It is done where every single panel of that shirt, down to the collar, is sublimated, cut out, and then sewn together. When you see that and it's like you're stressing about maybe having that little white gap, there's no way around it. When you realize, like, your customers complain about it, you're like, okay, you want to be able to have this done, a faster turnaround. You have to accept these little bit of flaws, because the alternative, you'll have to wait a lot longer. You'll have to order a really, really large amount in order for them to even take you seriously. So, like I said, these expos put things into perspective for even you as a crafter, as a small timer, the one that just has a desktop printer. You just have a Cricut machine. Cricut ain't there. Caesar was there with their Juliet and their Romeo, but you don't see companies like Cricut there. You don't see companies like Silhouette there. You don't see companies like StarCraft Solo, there. These are large cutters. Your Sumas, your I think GravTech did have a booth, Minoto, like you're seeing all of these companies that have really, really massive, and I do mean massive, die cutting machines, but it puts it all into perspective for you. When you're able to see marketing material and how those things are created, mailers, there was this machine, and I'm actually, I want to go back and look at some of the things I have that were like mailed to us and really see if it's like printed, because there was this one vendor there and they only had one of their machines. And she was like, we would never do a whole card, but it's a little machine. It has a real blue ink pen on it, and it is writing out whatever it is that you want it to say. So it gives it like a more handwritten, well, not give it, it's like handwritten from a company and it's writing it. And I was like, but this, like, it takes forever. Like, why would I want it? But if you're addressing a bunch of them, yes, you can do the whole printed thing, but it's just something about it where it looks handwritten. And she's like, they have 230, 250 of them. So, it sucks like having to load each one, but that is what they do. And she's like, of course, we never really do a card like this. We just using this as an example. You can see it like how, like, see it working, but they normally just do like envelopes or postcards and things of that nature that have the exact same words on it. And then they just write it out. I thought that was pretty dope. For different systems, for those who want to eventually work with schools, there was a company there that has like a website system where you have unlimited school sites. So instead of sending a school just to your website and you have to create, hopefully you are able to create like a custom back end domain. With this one, you can have all these stores and they don't have to go to, I'll just use schools here from, examples for me. My son is at like Northern Senior High. You have Carroll City Senior High School. You have Northwestern Senior High. You have Central. You have all these different schools. So if you were someone that was providing shirts or, booster club things for all these different schools, they don't have to all just live on your website. You want something where they can go in and order from their website that has all of their stuff. So maybe you have 3 or 4 different shirts, you got hats, you got pants, you got shoes, whatever it is. This was a site that allowed you to have multiple, like, completely separate stores. That was pretty dope. And the cost was not a whole lot, but you don't find out about these resources until you go to these types of events. It makes you understand that it's not to say that you're doing anything backwards or you're doing it the hard way or the long way. When you're first starting out, you're going to have to do a lot of things manual. You're going to end up doing a lot of things that are the long way, and it's going to make you feel like you're not charging enough. I know that's a sucky feeling. I know y'all do not like when I say this, but for where most of us are, and I'm going to say us instead of just putting in saying, well, most of you guys are, where most of you are at, you're not going to be able to charge what you feel like, your time is worth, because it takes, there we go. It takes longer to do things with the resources and equipment that you have. You don't have staffing. You don't have additional people to pass tasks off to where one person is handling this person is handling that. You are pretty much the everything to your business. And when you're doing everything and feeling like you're spending your entire day, all of your free time doing certain things, it's like, why are the coins not matching? And there's no getting around that. You're going to feel that way until you get staff and you have a full-fledged company, or you learn to outsource and it's less work on you and you are okay with making a few cents, a few dollars, on an order, but you don't have the overhead. You don't have to worry about the paper. You're focusing on buying 1 or 2 packs of paper at a time, and that cost is different than these companies that are buying pallets of paper. So now this paper is costing them pennies, a couple of cents, where you're paying, even though with us it's like, depending on how you're ordering, it only costs you like maybe 30 cents, 20 cents, somewhere in there. They're paying pennies for this paper because of the volume that they're ordering it in. You can't compete. And I know we want to say, well, it's our customer service. It's, you don't get to know the CEOs. Y'all don't want people to know y'all now. And there's a reason why some people can't just pick up a phone and call the CEO. There is a reason. But we take that as a badge of honor, not realizing how much it is slowing us up. For most of these major companies, the CEOs aren't there like the entire time. They sent sales reps on their behalf. Like, that's just the nature of it. So when you see, even in being at the expo and seeing how just businesses, what they do to secure a sale, it's enlightening from a business perspective. The amount of waste, you think they cared about the amount of ink that they use, the amount of boards, cardboards, coroplast, PVC. You think they cared how much waste, like how many things they were just printing just to print. Most people can't take these things home. People flew in, and we're talking large posters that you were able to just take with you. I drove up, so I didn't take a whole bunch of them because I still had to think about the fact that I had to come home, and even would look at me like, excuse me, man, where's all this going? But massive yard signs, massive posters. If I would have known that my kids would be like, oh, I want to put this on my wall, I definitely would have gotten some more, like some other things that were there, because I wanted my tiger one. And MJ was like, oh, I'm going to cut this off and put this on my wall. Excuse me, sir? What are you talking about? Like, this is mine. You should have got me one. I'm like, well, damn. I would have gotten more had I known. But it's a lot of waste, and I do mean a lot. But they were willing to do that for people to see the quality of that printer, for people to buy it. There were deals going on, and you're watching people do major deals, buying printers on the spot. There are tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars on the spot. And then it was so funny because, like, some people, they just had like a little sticker, sold. And then you had the ones where it's like they went and put this massive print with like foam board or coroplast, and they used their printer to print it out and said sold to. And one of the things that you can, like, when you know who it's sold to, when they put it on there, you take a picture of that, because now you go and you do research. So now I know, okay, there is a company that has this. That's one of the greatest parts, where, like, for the ones that put sold and who it's sold to, because now you instantly have that contact of who purchased this equipment. And if I need this, I know I need to look up and see what their requirements are. But you're watching people make deals. There's finance companies on site for those who need it. And there's some literally buying it straight out, because they do offer discounts when you are at the expo, because some of them don't want to take those those pieces of equipment. And because it's been running like for days and days and days and stuff like that, it's not like some people will purchase a brand new one for it to be shipped to them. And there were those that were buying the showroom or like the expo um displays and the ones that they were using. And of course, they offer it at a discounted rate to get those. Even Stalls was doing it. Stalls had their hat press, and you were able to go and buy the hat press. Now, you could not take it away until the end. So you had to wait until after 3 p.m. on Friday to be able to come and retrieve it, or, and make arrangements for you to ship it if you flew in there. But you were able to buy the exact heat presses that they were using for their demos for those 3 days. You were able to purchase it. Those are the types of deals that are taking place like in the open, and being able to see that and just see how business on a larger scale happens can be so motivating. It's very intimidating. It can be intimidating for someone who is brand new, just kind of seeing that. But there's also some inspiration in it and just seeing those deals happen. And it's like, I want to be in that position where I can show up to an expo and I can pay for this cash, right? Or, credit card, whatever, but you can pay for it on the spot. Those are the deals that you end up seeing when you're walking around and you're just hearing the talks. Like, if you ever go to one, I like the ones that are multiple days of just the same stuff, and the same people are going there for those like multiple days, because when you slow down, and yes, you're looking at things and it's a lot of stuff. You may want to go and take a lot of videos. I didn't do a whole lot of videos. I didn't have, ones I can kind of hold in my hand. I just had my phone, but I'm like just listening. I was eavesdropping. I was listening in to people and them just talking about the equipment, how it's going to change their business, them negotiating or trying to figure out like the pros and cons of this machine versus that one. Like, just listening in. Like, I walked around and I just listened. There were times where I'm like, I'm gonna pretend like I'm actually interested in this over here, but I'm really listening in on conversations, because it just shows the mindset of CEOs. That is what you get when you go to expos such as Printing United, Graphics Expo. If you are into DTF, there's literally a whole expo that's for nothing but DTF, and that is it. So you can go to those. You have ones that is mainly for apparel. So that's what Impressions is. You don't really get to see like the Mamakis. Well, people are using them for DTF printers. I know like Florida Flexible, they use a Mamaki for their DTF, or at least at one point they did. But you don't really see, well, at least at the ones at like Atlantic City and like Texas, you don't see it. I know for sure from seeing it, you have a lot of those like regular banner type printers at the one in Long Beach. But ones like Printing United is more so for signage and things of that nature. And there's a lot of apparel, because I mean the embroidery machines. Hold on, y'all, because I am burning up. But feel free to, as you come in, if you're new here, I see some of the numbers fluctuating. Drop a hey, how you doing in the chat. But I got to go turn on the AC. I turn it off in the morning to get the kids up, but then I forget to turn it back on for me. So please hold. Oh my God, all these shirts need to move. Agree. My grandmother took me to her expos as a child. Hold on. Trying to see the other comments here. Uh-oh. I mean, I've always have, when it comes to the expos, it's always great for me to go there because of what I'm going for. So, um, being able to get, so like full booklets on all of these different machines and their specs on them is always great. Even if, you know, just to kind of know, like I said, I get the booklets so that I know how to talk to folk when I go and I'm trying to, and I'm interviewing those to outsource to. I'm trying to see my Bella Canvas. Is it Canva or Canvas? Their booklet. Where did it go? And I also have the Oracle one where you get swatches of so here it is. Actually, all of my books. So because I like 651 and other printed media, like you are able to get the books that have all of the color swatches without having to pay for them, because I've had one of these and I've had to pay for it. You go to the Expos, you're able to get this for free $99. And it's all the different types of adhesive vinyls and things of that nature. This one is like the one from Bella Canvas, and it has swatches, like actual fabric swatches, not just the ones of color, because you really can't tell. So you're able to take this, and y'all know how I feel about color charts. So if you needed to match something, you're able to go to that color chart, put this up to it, and figure out something that's really close to it, like close to that color. So being able to get booklets of color swatches and then just kind of seeing their full collection and the many, many different types of shirt, like something like Bella Canvas, you're probably used to just one, the C1000, I think it's something like that. You're probably used to just that one. But then when you see all the different types of shirts that they have Reglan shirts and things of that nature. So being able to get your hands on something like this, absolutely amazing. These are the things that you get from Expos. So try and go to one, look and see, just search, just do a Google search, they'll come up. There are sites that list all of the expos that might be coming to different areas. Even if it's just a little drive for you, it's worth it to go plan out for it, for room and board and things of that nature. I want to show y'all something. So, you know, when you go to like a hospital, a doctor's office, and you see things like this, right? Y'all have seen like room numbers like this, correct? And so you would assume, because of what you probably know about like different ways of, you know, cutting acrylic and things of that nature, when we look at these, you would think that this was made with what? What would, you know, what would you think that these types of things, this is raised, if you can't tell, you see there, it's raised. What method would be used to create something like that? A lot of people, whenever they see anything that's raised, it's acrylic, would actually, you know what? I'm gonna do it this way too. Hold on. Let me find. Can y'all see the texture in that and how that's raised? And do you see that? That looks like what? What does that look like? What material does that look like? And when you're touching it, it feels rough as well. So that would be what? Because they have laser cutters there. Well, permanent vinyl is flat. This is raised. So you can see that. You see, that's lifted up. That's not flat. I mean, you can probably do this part with printable vinyl or permanent vinyl, but this is raised. Looks like wood. Both of these are actually done with the exact same printer. So this one and all of that texture in and out and the wood look, those are all layers and layers and layers and layers and layers and layers and layers of UV printing. And it's just, you know how when something's thick, we would do 2 passes, 3 passes, 20 passes or whatever. That is what they use for things like this, but it's a flatbed. So they can have multiple going, and this printer is going across this big flatbed to maybe do 100 of these, and then it's going to do another pass. And, it's curated another pass. So it's going to be able to do a bunch of them at one time, because it's not printing them one by one, but this is UV printing. This right here is UV printing. I want to show you guys the dinosaur eye, which I wish I could have taken that one home. Oh my God. This one right here. Hold on. Oh, come on, go back. Wait. This right here and all of that texture is UV printing. Layers and layers and layers of UV printing. And they just keep putting new layers on top to build parts up. And then they would print, like with this one, there's layers underneath, and then it's print on top to make it look like it's underneath the fold. It is crazy. Now, the setup of that, this is where you have to end up being very technical. This is where the design comes in, at knowing how to design and knowing how to set up layers and setting it up, the different channels to be able to do those things. So when you want to operate on that level, this is where you have to learn the technical stuff, how to properly design and set things up. But yeah, that is how. So this was printed on what's called in Arizona. If you want to look it up and see how much that bad boy costs, but that is what that was printed on. So one piece, see, it tells me here. So one piece would take 34 minutes and 8 seconds. The ink usage is only 1.3. It says 1.292 millimeters of ink. That's nothing for this, right? But if you were to use the full bed, that's 48 by 96. You can do 187 pieces. So as a single one, so that would be 34 minutes times 187 is 6,358 minutes divided by 60. So that's an hour. So that would take, if this was done, like let's say you had a small format UV printer and you needed to do 100 of these, whatever, that would take you 106 hours to do these individually, because it would take 34 minutes to print out one of these because of how many times it has to go over it. But if you were to set this up on a full bed, that's 187 pieces. It would take 4 hours, 47 minutes, and 31 seconds. The ink usage would be 321 milliliters. Now, the ink seems a little weird. Like that seems much higher than what one piece. It seems like you're using more ink, because 1.292, if you multiply that by 187 pieces, that's only 241. But they said ink Well, probably I'm not sure if it's like like if it's like as it's printing, it's going through like cleaning cycles as well, because 4 hours is a really long time. Like, just like filtering the ink, but it says 321.3 milliliters, but it's only 4 hours compared to 100 and some hours. Because let me see, 34 minutes times 187 of these would be 6,358 minutes divided by 60. Yeah, 106 hours compared to 4 hours to do 187 of these. You can't compete. I'm sorry. I asked the guy to take this because I was like, I need for my audience to see something that I'm always talking about, that you should not be trying to print these things and cut them right to the edge. When major companies are doing these, there is a bleed. There is a bleed, and it is cut out, and the rest is left there. They are not cutting these without a bleed. These are not being cut without a bleed. And then you can see like their registration system on this. But yeah, that for me, like that is what I want. People go, people have different perspectives and different takeaways from expos. But those are some of my bigger my when I'm truly thinking about like my audience and who I currently speak to and educate on things, is what do you want to go into these taking away from it? Because those machines are going to be intimidating. If it's something as big as Printing United and you walk in there and you're coming down those stairs and you see all that stuff. So one of my best friends, now mind you, we registered in May. Okay? Floor plan was available in May because most of these vendors, same exact vendors all the time. They know who these vendors are, and they're sometimes pretty much in the same exact spots. Knew the vendors. There we go. She never looked at the floor plan. So right before she was about to get on the plane, she looked at it and she's like, oh my God, let me change my shoes. Let me bring a different pair of shoes, because it is massive and it can be overwhelming to go into those buildings and see those. Oh, the other thing that you be not confused by. Yes, you're inside of a closed building, but the reason why they have this in places like convention centers is because ventilation is built into the infrastructure. Air compressors is built into the infrastructure. So you'll see the tubes and things that's going either up, or a lot of times they will have some sort of insulation in the middle, like it's going to cover up where all of the wires and the this, that, and the third is, and you don't really hear it, and it's going and it's feeding into, so there is exhaust. So be not confused that they are exhausting these machines out of the building. So you have to think about that if you are ever going to consider one of these larger machines. You have to consider how you're going to vent them, because you will need an actual ventilation system for them. Oh, another takeaway is watching the maintenance on these things, and how it's not just the small ones where they're going to do something and you get errors and they have to reset them. And some people, there were some booths where they couldn't even show a demo because the machine just started acting crazy and they couldn't really fix it like on the spot. You had to wait, because then like the next day it was working. But like watching the maintenance on these things and knowing what it takes to keep them running. If you don't like doing maintenance on your little ones and you're not really cleaning the inside, you're not cleaning your capping station, cleaning your print heads, you're not ready for the big boys, because they require a lot of maintenance. If you don't like paying $20 for a cartridge, like a bottle of ink or cartridge, baby, those big boys are not it. Some of these cartridges cost $700, thousands of dollars for these ink cartridges. So it puts a lot of things into perspective. And I think for some, you will I don't say it's not that you don't respect like your business or like your humble beginnings, but it'll make you check yourself, boo. Like for real, when you are able to just experience something like that. Um, the marketing aspect of it, the fact that there are salespeople out there, like they're willing to be there and talk to you when you're asking questions and they're able to answer these, like they have knowledge of their business, knowledge of their services and products. Do you have that? Like if somebody was to come and just talk to you about the different types of shirts or printing so that they know what's going to work best for them, do you get an attitude? Do you get irritated? Like, man, are you going to buy or what? You feel like you're answering all these questions for someone not to purchase? When you're watching them sit here and talk to people, at the Caesar booth, I don't know, there was a guy that was out there, was like he's been here every day, like asking these questions, da, da, da. So like he's just like talking to them like nonstop multiple days, and you have to just smile and grin and bear it. Like, are you willing to do that when you're watching them just in their element, knowing that 90% of these people are not going to purchase anything, but you still have to smile and give information and things of that nature? Like, that is amazing to me. Like I said, the marketing material and being willing to print things out just for people to take and actually have an example of what it is that, that there, what's the quality, where you guys are wanting to always make mock-ups and give them an exact mock-up thing. Things that I'm like, why are you wasting so much valuable time making individual mock-ups? I do not understand why you guys put so much emphasis on being able to put every single design in a mock-up. All you really need is one or two good ones that maybe show different color ranges and something that actually shows the quality. And when it comes to design, just show them the design. Like, put your watermark on it, but the taking the extra time to make it look like a gable box, make it look like a fan, make it do this, do that. If you really sit, and the moment that you start to from designing it and then now taking the time to put it in the mock-up, changing information, doing all this, doing all that, calculate how much time you're spending on that and how many times per day, per week you're doing it. And what else could you be doing in that time? It's like, look, we're going to give you all of the, I said that too. I was like, I was looking at it and I'm like, I love their selection of images that they chose, because it gives you so many different ranges of everything. Doesn't print the same depending on if it's like really, really saturated, if it's darker colors, if it's lighter colors, if it's something that's pretty solid, if it has a lot of detail and graphics in it, it looks different for people and like their skin tones and faces. So they had this sheet that printed out all of these different things on it. It made me feel so good because I'm like, yo, that's how I do mine. I've been doing that for a while. So even though I'm on a smaller scale, I felt like the big dogs. I'm like, okay, I'm on the right thinking path, because this is exactly what they do when they're trying to test out stuff and just show the quality of their work. But like taking those things away from it, where it's like, man, why am I working harder instead of smarter? You'll probably hear a lot of people talk about Printing United, because I ran into quite a few folks who are content creators and they will do videos, and their perspectives will probably be a little bit different. But the things that I took video of and when I put it all together, it's for those things, like the things that you need to know, like those technical things, so that you don't feel crazy as a smaller creative trying to navigate this industry. Okay. Any questions for moi before I hop off of here? Any questions for me? She said a 3D printer or laser. It's actually UV. She says, I had to purchase the Oracle one. It's my favorite as well. Yes, I've had to purchase it too. I was glad I got an updated one for free. Any questions? No questions. All right. All right. So now that there are no questions, I'll tell you my takeaways from this. It put a lot of things into perspective for me and the direction I want to go, being able to have conversations with people on a technical level. And also because my thing now is like, I mean, I've said to you guys, I feel like the industry has outgrown has gone past where I'm comfortable with like teaching it. Like I'm not your AI person. I use AI. Um, I don't use AI a lot to produce um graphics for, like just a poster or like, just creating these images and like the AI twins, or to use AI to make it seem like I'm all dolled up and I'm, at a photo shoot and things of that nature. I don't really use it for image generation like that. Um, Even with like your chat GPTs and things of that nature, I feel like so many people are using chat for image creation and there's so much to it. And some of y'all just aren't willing to really get into that part. It's making excuses. You have time for everything else, but we don't have time to slow down. Even if you have to do, multiple small sessions, yeah, you got to pay for it, but like multiple small sessions to really get an understanding and put these things into work. But I don't really utilize AI how I see it being requested, where I've gotten most of my students from and clientele from, which is like in the craft spaces and like in Facebook groups, because it's how do you're trying to figure out how to use AI to change something, and then mad because it changed the whole thing and not just that. You're trying to isolate changes, and I'm just not. I don't want to pivot to teach that, right? I know that I can completely change directions and move into and put emphasis on some of my other skill sets and talents, and that would be microsystems. So I'm looking to work with people and businesses who are inquisitive, who have questions, who truly have a desire to figure it out, not just for them to do it themselves, but to know, what to look for when they're trying to hire someone, a VA, and being able to give them clear instructions on what they want. So when I'm able to like speak, like really talk shop and be able to talk about systems, that is where like I enjoyed myself the most. The printers and all that stuff was great, but when I was able to stop and just speak to these, business owners who've been doing print shops, like printing on a large scale for a really long time, and then seeing, just where some of those deficiencies are, where they haven't incorporated a lot of like social media or different things, like that is the direction that I want to go in. I have given the craft world 10 years of my life. And I am more comfortable with saying now that it's not what it was a few years ago. For me personally, I know that there are some, they'll say they thrive in it, but they're willing to teach some of these things now. Like they're, change. I've seen some people, they change their entire business to focus like on AI. Like they wanted to tap into AI on that level. I'm just not, there. There's so many people who were willing to teach Canva. And that's the thing that, DIMers, they love Canva. I utilize Canva. I utilize it for business. I was able to speak with a lot of people on how they can incorporate Canva for business and team and, project management and things of that nature. I don't like to use Canva to create a poster, to create something for a shirt. So I just feel like I'm out of touch with you guys. So for me, it made me, and then also just having a conversation with some amazing people, um, that recognize, like, my fears, and y'all, pretty sure y'all have been able to see it, that I'm just not as fulfilled in this as I once was with a lot of the design things. I realize that you guys don't want my type of instruction for designing, unless it's like free on YouTube, and I don't make like my last, as much content that I put out, because people are not commenting. You guys are not liking my content. You come on, you don't speak, there is no engagement. I hit my lowest when it came to YouTube the last time. And with all the content I put out, I'm always live and things of that nature. The deposit for one channel was like $78. I can't survive off of that. Like before, where we're talking hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars, it was $78. No matter, and it's not like I'm not putting in the work. How some people say, well, are you putting in the work? What are you doing? Like, I'm showing up all the time, but it's a numbers game. It's an engagement game. And for some reason or another, my audience chooses not to engage with me anymore. And when I start to see that dip, I would be crazy. I would be absolutely foolish to continue to put out content and it's not benefiting me and my household and the bills that we have. So I had to make a decision, and this expo definitely gave me clarity, sitting at a table, nearly a round table with people, like David, Jesus. Well, David Shane's from I'm in Morning Meetup, but like D and Eric from the Blank Spot, Octavius from Applied Pressure, Shani from Craftastic Tips, and well, Javai was at the table with us, but we spent a lot of time with her from Infinite Print Solutions. It just put a lot of things in perspective, and just like I said, talking to others there and telling my story when they're asking, what is it you do? And, or when someone's saying something and I'm like, yeah, that's my philosophy as well. It just put a lot of things into perspective for me. And I've been saying for the longest that 2025 was my swan song, and I would technically remove myself. I kept trying to figure out ways to rebound it and make it work. But after getting for one of my channels, $78, I'm like, this is dead. This channel is dead. So it's like, what am I fighting to hold on to? Whether, even if they're watching the old stuff, it's not benefiting me. So to just shut down, not put any more content on a lot of on my main channels now and start over. I was afraid to start over, but it's like I'm starting over anyway, because $78 is literally nothing. So if I have to put in work to get to start another channel and monetize that and hopefully reach a different audience, I'm okay with doing that. This expo helped me, just the expo, the people that I spoke with just helped me be okay with that and just accept the fact that it's not failure, because I know the skill set that I bring. It's just I wasn't willing to change with this market. I have no desire to teach Canva on the level that like you guys want to use it. Now I teach it. I still want to teach how to use it for understanding, which is why I named my program, for Canva, is Understanding Canva. Tomorrow, we're going to go through designs. There are people that are committed. I am my academy. I plan to still do those things. So I have my creative lounge, I have the creative business, and those will be the two that I focus on. I considered doing another updated version of Essential Silhouette Studio to teach that. And I'm like, yeah, I know they had came out with a new machine, but it's not until I find that it's not until someone has an emergency and they want me to help them on the spot. I'm not finding a lot of people who are really wanting to learn the inner workings of these programs, like or something like Silhouette Studio. So I'm like, I'm just not going to kind of focus on that. There are so many things like memorials, and I did dedicated ones. Hopefully I'll find the people who want to really learn the program through different activities. We'll do different designs, but my goal is to help you be more self-sufficient. So at some point or another, I will not be making any new content on any of these platforms, and just let, whatever money it makes, but this definitely helped me be okay with not making any new content on any of these platforms, and that is coming soon. And I am sticking to that. I am shutting down my YouTubes because they're not really it ain't helping my family none, and it just the amount of work that I have to put into things, and when I'm prepping and planning and stuff like that, it's just not worth it. So I have to consider other ways. Yeah, so it's official that my channels will shut down by the end of the year. Okay. So, and most likely my Facebook as well. It sucks because I feel like I've worked a really long time to monetize them. But if I don't make a clean break, I'm going to constantly be sucked into doing the same thing, and I'm never going to move forward. So I have to figure out how that works with Facebook with me. Cause when you create a new account, if it looks like the other one, you have profile, because that's how I lost my other account. I got to figure that part out. But the goal is to basically separate and just cut all ties to all of this by the end of the year, except for 365 Creative Academy, because that's where I'll be focusing on for our creative business program, and helping with microsystems and helping you develop your microsystems. And then the only place that I'll do design is in the Creative Design Lounge. So those will be the two ways for you to connect with me. We'll meet it's like right now it's twice a month within those programs. So every 2 weeks within those programs. And if you wanted any of the other classes, they will actually be on sale starting today. Because once they're gone, they are gone. And well, you'll be able to access them, but I won't be, I barely promote them now, but that website will shut down. All those things will shut down. The other thing that made it like me okay with this, I was watching an episode of Emma Greer, I think I say her name. And there was a young lady and she shut her business down in September. And, after being on a high and making millions and millions of dollars, and just when it changed, like not going down with the sinking ship. And that kind of really, really made, but this weekend kind of sealed the deal for me. So you will still see me, but you probably got to find me because the socials as I know it now will definitely shut down by the end of the year. So that is the impact that it has had on me with going to the expo. But I will see you guys. Again, my focus will be 365 Creative Academy. So don't think that I'm not teaching anymore, but I won't be utilizing social media the way that I am currently using it under the platforms and like the channels and stuff like that you currently see. These things will come to an end. Not me teaching though. Okay. But yeah, that's that. May not be the news that you want to hear, but that is that. All right, y'all. Until next time, have a great one. Continue to unlock your creativity and be incredible. Peace.